How's it going, football fans around the world, and welcome back to my channel. So it is that time again. The Champions League is coming up this up and coming week. So what I'm going to be doing for you guys in today's video is I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions on the first leg. Yes, the first leg. Typically, I like to give my predictions over the course of 2 legs. I like to make only one video, a one and done, and then we move on. But the reason why I decided to do this 1 leg at a time is because 1, more videos, more content, more views, and 2, I just think that the matchups this year, the matchups are always good in the Champions League because it's the best teams in Europe going up against each other. But this season, I just feel like you couldn't have matched them up any better this quarterfinal. But anyways, I'm talking too much. Let's get into the video. So the first matchup I want to talk about is Benfica versus Inter. Man, these two teams, I believe, are kind of having opposites of seasons. We got Inter Milan. Let's start with Inter. So we got Inter Milan, who are having a very up and down season. Their form isn't great. And just overall this season, they haven't been great. They're currently in 4th place in their league, and they already have 10 losses this season. That is not a good look for Inter. If we look back at their previous years, like last year when they came second, they only had 4 losses. If we look back at the season before that, back in 2021, they only had 3 losses. The season before that, they only had 4 losses. Like, to have 10 losses in a season already for Inter Milan is very uncharacteristic of them recently, right? Because recently they've just been so good. But this season, it just hasn't been it. They're very up and down. And even their current form is very, very bad. They haven't won their last 6 games. The last time they were able to win was 7 matches ago, which was on March 5th versus Lecce. So Inter Milan not only have been struggling this season, but going into this match versus Benfica, they have not been in great form. They've probably been in the worst form. And then on the other side, we have Benfica, who have been nothing short of fantastic this year. If we look at them and their league, they are currently in 1st place, 7 points clear, and they only have 2 losses in the league. And I believe they only have 3 losses in all competitions. That is just fantastic, especially since they were in a Champions League group. Yes, this is including the Champions League. They were in a Champions League group with PSG and Juve, and they didn't lose. They still only have 3 losses in all competitions. 2 of them came in league, and 1 of them was in the domestic tournament. So Benfica, they have been fantastic. They topped their group in the Champions League with the group, like I said, with PSG and Juve. Not only that, but in the round of 16, they were able to win on aggregate a total score of 7-1 versus Club Brugge. This Benfica side has been fantastic. They're on great form now compared to Inter Milan, who have not been great, are on terrible form now. The first game is at home for Benfica. They're definitely the favorites heading into this match, so I'm going to have to go with the Benfica win. All right, there's nothing from Inter that is telling me that they're going to go out and get a result. I'm not saying they're not capable of it, right? They definitely are. Inter Milan are a great side, and if this was an Inter Milan from any other season, I would have Inter as favorites. But because of how bad they've been doing this season and how good Benfica have been, I have to go with Benfica at least winning at home. So that's exactly what I'm going to go with. Now it's just, what is the score going to be? Is there going to be a comfortable win for Benfica? Because it could get ugly for Inter. It could get very, very ugly for them. The scoreline I'm kind of going with is either a 2-0 win for Benfica or a 2-1 win for Benfica. Will Inter be able to at least get a goal? I'm going to go with the 2-1 win for Benfica. I was close to going 2-0 for you guys, but for some reason, something's telling me that Inter is going to at least be able to find a way to nick a goal. It probably won't be pretty, but I just feel like they're going to be able to. So I'm going to go with the 2-1 win for Benfica in the first leg. Let's move on to the next match. So the next match I want to talk to you about is a very tasty, delicious one. I'm talking about Manchester City versus Bayern. The first leg is going to be at at the Etihad. I don't know how I feel about that. Obviously, if we're able to win, then it's gonna be fantastic. But typically, I like to end things at home. So I wish that Manchester City could have had the second leg at our home. It is what it is. The first leg is going to be at the Etihad. And you know what? When Nagelsmann was still a manager, when Manchester City first drew Bayern Munich, I was pretty confident that we were gonna come out of that one. Honestly, when Nagelsmann was a manager, it's not because I didn't rate Nagelsmann. If you see my video about Bayern Munich fire them, you know I rated Nagelsmann very highly. But I just thought we had the way better manager. I thought we had the better players and just the better team overall. So I was pretty confident that Manchester City were gonna win this tie, and not like overly confident. I know Bayern Munich. I know their history in this tournament. They have more Champions League trophies that I could ever dream of. So I'm not disrespecting you, Bayern Munich, right? Don't flip out on me, Bayern Munich fans. But when Nagelsmann was manager, I was confident that we were going to beat you guys. But now with Tuchel at the helm, I'm now shitting myself. I am really, really nervous. I believe now that Tuchel's the manager, I think that has switched the odds. Before, I would have said it's 60-40 in Manchester City's favor. But now with Tuchel, I believe it's now a lot more even, 50-50, maybe even now into your guys' favor. Like, that is how scared I am of this Tuchel side, because we all know what happened before when Pep Guardiola and Tuchel met last time. He was able to beat us in the Champions League final. Not only that, I would say he beat us with the team probably not as good as the side that he has now in Bayern. Like, no disrespect to that Chelsea side. They were a great team, but when it comes to players on the pitch and the talent that he had, I would say he has more talent now. So, yes, I am scared. I am very, very scared. But again, I'm only predicting the first leg, and the first leg is at the Etihad. And honestly, we have to be favorites at least for a home game. We've been very, very good at home. I believe we've only lost once, which was against Brentford, which was before the World Cup. Manchester City defensively have been really, really good, especially with Ruben Diaz coming back. I would say that Manchester City are favorites, at least for the first leg at home. It's just a matter of, can we get the job done, and can we get a couple goals past Bayern Munich? Because I think that's what it's going to take. For Manchester City to come out of this and to go into the next round, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about what we have to do in this first leg. We have to win. Bare minimum is a win. It can't be a draw. It can't be a loss. If we go back to Bayern Munich with a draw, I don't see Manchester City. I don't see Manchester City going into the next round. And it's not because I don't believe in my team. It's not because I don't think Manchester City don't have the ability to do it. It's just because of the history of Manchester City and the luck of Manchester City and the Champions League. I don't see Manchester City getting through if we go back to Germany tied, or even worse, losing. So Manchester City have to win this first match, and honestly, I think we even may have to win it by 2. Like, we really have to come out here and put it on Bayern. We really have to go out their throats and stomp on their necks and just don't let go. Don't do what we did versus Real Madrid last season. Last season, when we got Real Madrid, the first game was, again, at the Etihad, facing Real Madrid. It's never in your favor, but we were able to score multiple goals. But what we kept doing is we somehow find ourselves up like 2-0 in the first 20 minutes of the game. But what we kept doing was we kept letting our foot off the gas. And when we did that, Real Madrid were able to find themselves back into the match. That we get a goal, and then we would score again to make it 3-1. And then they would score again to make it 3-2. And then we would score again to make it 4-2. And then they would score again to make it 4-3. And that's how things ended. We then went back to Spain, to the Bernabeu, only up by 1. And the rest is history. So we have to, in this first leg versus Bayern Munich, is stomp on their necks and just never let go. I hope we've learned from that last series match versus Real Madrid. But again, in the Champions League, history does tend to repeat itself. So it's honestly tough for me to come here and tell you guys that I predict Manchester City to win 2-0 or 3-1, because I don't. I believe it's going to be tight. And so honestly, the the score predictions I'm going to go for this game is a 2-1 win for Manchester City. I would love to sit here and tell you guys that I think Manchester City are going to win 2-1 or 3-1. But I just think Bayern Munich are too good of a side. They have too much firepower. Again, they have Tuchel at the helm, somebody that has definitely made Pep Guardiola's life difficult. So I just don't see us winning it comfortably. If we're going to win this, we're going to win 2-1 here and then go back to Germany and hope we get a draw or something. So yeah, that's my predictions for this first match. Again, it's not like I don't believe in Manchester City, but just we've been through too much. We've seen it all when it comes to the Champions League and to European failure. So I'm going to go with the 2-1 win. I hope that we can win by 2, but more importantly, we just have to come out with the win. So I'll be more than happy with the 2-1 win. But yeah, that's my predictions. Let's now head into the next match. So the next game I want to talk about is Milan versus Napoli. Initial reaction when I first saw this draw is wow, they really are scripting this tournament. Nah, just kidding. My first reaction was Napoli's going to win this, right? They have been one of the best teams in Europe, if not the best team in Europe. I've said this multiple times. Napoli have been amazing this season. They're strolling in their league, right? They're up by 19 points. That could go down to 16 if Lazio is to win their game in hand. But currently, they're up 19 points. The league is in the bag for them. But like I said, that was initially when they first drew. Now, after some games have happened, now my opinion has changed a bit. And I know Napoli fans, you're rolling your eyes right now. Yes, I'm talking about that 4-0 win for Milan at Napoli's home. And I get it. You're probably screaming at the screen or your phone and saying, look, that wasn't Napoli. That wasn't the real Napoli. You know, that's a Napoli side who has basically already won the league. So they probably didn't care that much. And it was a Napoli side that didn't have their starters in that game. I totally understand that, and I would agree with you. But on the other side of the coin, maybe this could be playing in Napoli's heads, because we've seen this happen before to some teams. We've seen teams who've had the way better season, who have been the way better team, and who have the way better players. But it's results like these that can sometimes play into their heads. It happened with my team, right? It happened against Chelsea when we lost against them in the final. Manchester City had the league bagged up and done. It was theirs. The rest of the season and the league didn't really matter how it went. We basically already won it. Similar to Napoli. Chelsea ended up beating us to the league. It was like 1-0, whatever, who cares? They then beat us in a domestic tournament in the FA Cup semifinal. Who cares, right? It was a domestic tournament. We didn't have our best players out there. It's not going to happen again. We then meet them in the final, and I thought all that shit in the past wasn't going to matter, but what actually happened is that Chelsea had gotten into our heads. And that would be my only worry is if I was a Napoli fan, because I'm one of those paranoid fans. So that would definitely be playing into my mind heading into this match versus AC Milan. And the first leg is going to be at Milan's home. So if I was Napoli, I would definitely be a little worried. But then again, if we are going to go off the facts, Napoli didn't have their best players in that game versus Milan. Napoli already basically have won the league. Napoli are having the way better season than Milan. Milan have been up and down. It's a Milan side that you never know what you're really going to get. They can go on a 3-game winning streak and then go on a 3-game losing streak. There's parts of their season where they look really good defensively, and then they have games where they lose where they concede like 5 or 4 goals, right? So Milan, you never know what you're going to get for them. So realistically, Napoli should be still the heavy favorites in this tie. But again, how is that 4-0 result at home defeat for Napoli playing in their heads? Are they thinking it as, you know, it was a fluke game, we didn't have our best players, that wasn't the real Napoli? Or are they letting AC Milan starting to get in their heads? Who knows? But let's get into the predictions. So what I'm going to predict for this first leg, for this first match at AC Milan, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Reason being is because although I would say Napoli are the favorites, and although I would say Napoli are most likely going to be heading into the next round just because of how good they've been this season, I expect it to be close and I expect it to be a dogfight. These are two teams from the Serie A playing against each other in the Champions League quarterfinal. It would be a letdown if Napoli were to ease through AC Milan. Like, AC Milan have to at least make it tough for them. So that's why I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw at AC Milan. What will happen in the second leg? Who knows? But at least for the first first part, it's going to be tough and it's going to be close. I'm going for a 1-1 draw at AC Milan. Let's get into the next match. So for the final match of this video, we got Real Madrid versus Chelsea. Now, again, on paper, according to how the season's been going, according to who's the favorites, Real Madrid should probably ease through this, right? This is Real Madrid, the gods of this tournament, the kings of this tournament. They're always going to be the favorite. I've said this a few times this year. As long as Real Madrid are in the Champions League, they will always be the favorite. It doesn't matter how good of a season they are having that year. I don't care if they're in 10th place. If Real Madrid are in the Champions League, they are always going to be the favorite. I believe they've earned that for the amount of times they've won it, for the amount of comebacks they've made. Like, they are royalty in this tournament. So again, as long as they're in it, they're always going to be the favorites, and that's exactly what I have them as versus Chelsea, is the favorites. The first match is at the Bernabeu, and I totally expect them to win it. But if I'm going to play devil's advocate, the last team to beat them in the Champions League was Chelsea, right? If we look back to 2022, so that was not last season, but the season before that, Chelsea were able to defeat Real Madrid in the Champions League. They beat them 3-1 and knocked them out of the semifinals of the Champions League. So, look, who knows? Maybe Chelsea can do it again. Who knows? They're the last team to do it. Maybe they can do it again. I find it unlikely, but again, there has to be some hope for Chelsea, and honestly, that is the only hope I have. That's the only thing I have going for Chelsea, is that the last time Real Madrid lost in the Champions League knockout stage was against Chelsea. For this first leg, I'm going to stop dragging it now. I'm going to go with let's go for a 3-1 win for Real Madrid. I'm not saying Chelsea are totally out of it. I've already said that. But if Chelsea are going to do it, I think it's going to take something fantastic at Stamford Bridge for them to be able to do it. But away from home, I see them really struggling, and I see Real Madrid really getting at them, especially since Karim Benzema is again at the end of the season in fantastic form. And in his last few games, he has scored a ridiculous amount of goals. But yes, that is my Champions League first leg quarter final predictions. Please let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. Please let me know if you think I got any of the matches wrong. And let me know what your guys' score predictions are, right? I'm totally up for debate. I respond to all my comments, so I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah, other than that, please hit that subscribe button. Help me on my way to 300 subscribers. We're really, really close. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon.